Hey folks, Alcris here with another FFA retrospective, along with a bonus interview with a winner of this FFA, Vova7let, who played Persia. We discussed the multiplayer meta for about almost an hour and a half, so stick around after this quick FFA retrospective for a fun, balanced discussion, as well as strategy tips from Vova as to how he won, which I think were pretty interesting to hear from that conversation with him, largely because he sort of subverts the existing meta. For example, he doesn't go for Portcullis, he doesn't get a Spy Master, he doesn't get Onagers, he doesn't get Machinery, he doesn't get Ranges. And it's a really interesting and insightful conversation in terms of another way of looking at the game in terms of Old World as a timing attack game, and how he was able to use that to great success in this game, as well as just the importance of getting specialists as a way to get science. He even did not pick up slavery, completely subverting the meta. He got freedom very early because he didn't have any court chairs and didn't have any good science, so he wanted to get specialists, and freedom does give you an extra science per specialist. I think by the end of the game, he had 25% of his science coming from freedom from specialists, which is not insignificant. All right. And without further ado, let's get into this FFA. I have some screenshots to show of the incredible invasion that Vova mounted upon my Assyrian lands, and then we'll go to the interview after that. But first, a recap of the game. So I started as Assyria, Nylon started as Rome, Fuda started as Carthage, and started as Greece, PS started as Babylon, and Vova7let, the eventual winner, started as Persia. So we'll advance through the game here. As you can see, everyone's just sort of quickly settling. There is an early war between Vova and Persia, and between Persia and Babylon. I don't exactly know when it started. I do remember hearing some rumors of it. I hadn't met either of them. I didn't actually meet Babylon until very late in the game. So I had no vision of what's going on, but apparently there was some back and forth here with Babylon actually having the upper hand, but Babylon was then merciful and did not end up attacking Persia. Meanwhile, I, on the diplomatic front, I'm Assyria and had met with Rome and sort of had a detente with Rome that, like, let's have this border here and sort of be peaceful. I was really focused on getting production up and running, wanted to get barracks everywhere, get officers everywhere, really have a great production empire and be ready to focus on that. Also had some really great leaders in terms of science, and was feeling really good about the game at this point. Greece reached out here. They had settled north, and I think that pissed off Babylon, and Babylon actually ends up declaring war on Greece not long after that. But before then, me, Greece, and Carthage had all agreed to attack Rome. I think Greece was the one that proposed the idea, and you can see Rome quickly falls because it's very hard to defend from 3 people. But at the same time, Babylon attacked Greece, and Greece essentially said, hey, can you send some help? I'm having trouble holding off Babylon. So at this point, I had pretty much had just established peace with Persia, so I was like, okay, I'm cool with Vova in the north. He's going to be peaceful, and I'm not going to attack. And horsemen, I just gotten horsemen, so I'd built a bunch of horsemen and had chariots for taking out Rome. So I sent the horsemen towards Greece and basically said, here you go. And then actually got peace with Greece and then marched them through his lands and end up declaring war on Babylon, which in retrospect was a mistake. I should have just quietly gifted the units to Greece and let him move them over and not let Babylon know that I was funneling arms to the Greeks. By marching them through Greeks' lands and basically declaring war on Babylon, I think I was feeling a little overconfident here. I was in a great position. I was leading in science by far. Everyone else, I think, was either primitive or naive to me. I had production everywhere. I was feeling like barding was just on its way. I think it was the next tech, or soon to be the next tech, and I was feeling very confident I would have cataphracts and basically be able to dictate terms to anyone in the game. So I marched 6 horsemen over there and ended up declaring war on Babylon. In retrospect, what happened patch-wise is the patches changed what the requirements for barding were. So it was much further away than I thought it was because I did not have battle line, and battle line became a requirement for barding, so I had to go get that. And eventually the sad end of the story is I never actually end up getting barding. It's always 5 turns away. In any case, continuing with, so I declare war on Babylon. I also make a strategic mistake here where I will discover martial code. So here's the war on Babylon, and I discover martial code, and martial code gives you holy war, and martial code is basically the tech over here That's right before that magical, super important deck, Barding. But because you can see enemy or anyone's laws by hovering over the laws like this, it is a huge intel giveaway. If someone has Holy War, means they're going to Barding, and they're going to get it very soon, which means they're going to become an incredible threat, because a 10 strength Cataphract is a terrifying thing to behold, and is very, very hard to stop. So by picking up Holy War, which is a great law, I gave away that I was about to become the leader of the game and the winner of the game. So yeah, so that was a tactical error on my part. I even ended up building libraries because I got scholarship, because I was just not getting the right roles to get barding, so I had to pick scholarship, full things. But yeah, I was sitting pretty. This was the golden age of the Assyrian Empire. But as with any other empire, the golden age precedes the fall, and perhaps overconfidence, basically saying, here's some 6 horsemen. Babylon, I want you to stop attacking Greece. I'm going to declare war on you. And I'm showing my might with these 6 horsemen here, and I'm going to help Greece fight back, and I'm going to basically dictate terms to you. And that obviously pissed Babylon off, right? So you're fighting this war, you're winning this war, and then here comes Assyria and just drops 6 horsemen on you and attacks and kills. I think I killed their leader's unit and just made a mess of things. So what happened here, diplomatically, was PS messaged Vova7 and said, hey, Persia, you're right there. You know, Assyria just interfered in my war. You should do something about this. They are going to be a problem. Why don't you go attack Assyria so that they have a problem in their own backyard? Instead of having them just, sitting pretty and feeling strong and attacking in my back, interfering with my war against the evil Greeks, why don't you attack? So unbeknownst to me, this was what was happening, and Vova looked at my laws and saw, oh wow, he has Holy War. He is going to be a threat. It is time to take action. And so he ended up mounting a beautiful naval invasion with a bireme. I did not have navigation, so I could not actually stop that bireme. And I'll go through some screenshots in a bit of the sort of naval invasion and the aftermath there. But the TLDR, as you can see, my forces helped Greece, but then Persia has attacked navally. They cancel the Acropolis, which really hurt, because losing a wonder, you lose everything you put into the wonder. They start taking my cities. I'm throwing units at them, but it's tough. He's got about 7 or so highly promoted Cataphract archers, which are the Persian unique unit, and I cannot push them back. A note here, he did get them at 6 laws, because he was able to build citadels at 6 laws, because that was the previous patch. But now it requires 7 laws, which is a good change, but it basically meant that he had a timing window that I had no way to respond to, because my best unit was a 6 strength unit. The Assyrian unique unit is a siege tower. I did not bother building it because I was planning to play defensively and winning on points. I think that was my plan. In retrospect, not a good plan. Should have been planning to attack. But in any case, I want to sort of like have a dominant position and basically be like, okay, I have cataphracts, I have superior science, I'm much stronger than everyone else. But yeah, so yeah, he had those cataphracts. I had cataphract archers strengths, but they were highly promoted. Well, you'll hear a little bit more about them in the interview. There was nothing really I could do. I threw units and units and units and units at them, but could not deal with it. And as you can see, I start to crumble here. There's some hard-fought turns here, back and forth, lots of units dying. He's rushing out cataphract archers, as you'll also hear him talk about in the interview, the importance of hurrying production. But eventually I'm starting to fall here. I actually end up telling Babylon, you need to attack Persia now, because if Persia eats me, Persia is going to be completely unstoppable. Unfortunately, Babylon kept prosecuting their war against Greece. And as you can see, my Assyrian Empire starts to fall very quickly here. I think somewhere around here I end up resigning, because there's nothing I can do. I was trying to hold a line in Greece, and then it just basically fell apart. So Persia becomes incredibly strong and powerful. Babylon still keeps eating Greece. The other thing to note here, you'll notice I had a great cognomen, and then I go to bad, which is 80 legitimacy, minus 80 legitimacy, and the bloody, which I don't think I've actually gotten in a game before, so achievement unlocked, is minus 100 legitimacy. And all your families are pissed off at this point. There's nothing you can do. I had an amazing ambassador who was plus 240 opinion, because I think he was friendly or something and had great charisma, 11 charisma ambassador or something, but when he died, everything went to hell, and there was no way for me to push back, because 2 leaders like this with negative legitimacy is just horrible to deal with. So huge props to Vova for the amazing naval invasion. then able to attack. And then I think he soon, after eating my empire, he eats the remnants of Greece and marches and attacks on a beautiful dual front war against Babylon, and is able to basically win the game, taking Babylon cities, taking Greek cities, and just sort of the strength of his empire. And Babylon, unfortunately, was still embroiled in that war against Greece, perhaps lengthened by my 6 horsemen donation of a long time ago. Maybe he would have conquered faster. So I guess the moral of the story for me was like, mind your own business in an FFA. Or if you do, at least do it quietly. Don't march units and declare war. Just gift units to someone so they don't know that you're involved. Because that was a mistake that triggered the war. There are also some tactical misplays here with forts. But yeah, that is essentially the replay of the game. And now let's look at some graphs and talk about the map a bit. So this is the map here. This Bireme, this Bireme has not moved the entire game. Or maybe, I think I did end up killing this Bireme, so this is a replacement Bireme that he built. Because I eventually did get my Biremes that I sent up and killed his Bireme with. But it was basically sitting here, so he could build a bunch of units. He massed a unit force and then attacked here. I had forts on these 2 hills. You see the def and there. And unfortunately, my goal with this Bireme is like, I want to make it so I think the Bireme is slightly different position so that he could actually get in. I want to avoid him invading. That was not feasible. Before I talk about the tactics of the battle and go through the screenshots, I'm going to look at some cool graphs. So you can see military score. Rome was actually very strong. They had a lot of units, but being attacked by 3 people eliminated Rome as a threat. I was doing pretty well until Persia attacked me, and you can actually see Persia fell quite a bit. There was a pretty rough counterattack for me, but I am completely tanked. Babylon's actually superior here, and then once Persia gets my cities online, Persia is pretty much unstoppable. Similarly, you see the territory owned graph. I'm sitting pretty, and then it just all falls apart. Likewise with victory points. Resource prices wood, it was continually high. These stats are not that relevant for me because, well, I'm out of the game at this point. Civics production, you can see, was doing a great job with civics production until the collapse happened. Similarly with training, was in the lead until everything sort of fell apart. And science, I was just completely kicking ass on science. Like, look at this, turn 92, right around the turn 91, like 160 science. Persia had 84, Babylon had 79. I was rocking over 100 science from turn 70. I was in a great spot. I felt like I am on my way to barding. I'm going to get barding and I'm going to win the game. Unfortunately, Vova just attacked at the exact right time. Like, had he waited 10 turns, I would have had cataphracts, and I would have had a bunch of cataphracts with great production. If you look inside, like, Assur, which was my capital, you have a bunch of officers, minor. Even with Vova owning it, it's 41, but this used to be my champion seat. Notice that it's modified by negative 29% from simulation. Now imagine that 29% gone, and instead there's a plus 25% from being the champion seat. It was around 70 or 80 training. Just super, super strong, super, super scary city. Well developed. Unfortunately, just he attacked at exactly the right time for me to be unable to stop him. And it was the smart move on his part, because again, had he waited 10 turns, there's going to be cataphracts waiting his landing party, and 10 strength against 8 strength is pretty good. Money-wise, Vova sort of runs into enormous money issues, largely because he's got maintenance on a bazillion cities because he ends up conquering so much. The order economy, I was sitting pretty. I founded clerics as Assyria early, which was an interesting choice that I don't think I would do again, but it did give me a religion in this FFA, guaranteed religion, which I used to great effect. It spread early, so I had monotheism here with like 59 orders on turn 87. And then as I lose cities, I start losing orders because monotheism gives you orders per city. Economically, pretty solid. Like, just generally feeling like, look at that stone production. I had 300 stone, probably built a little too much stone production, but I could build any wonder I wanted. And then it all collapsed. So this was a great game in terms of, like, I got lumber mills up and running, and then I lost the cities with the lumber mills. And you see Persia, which did not actually research forestry, inherited, shall we say, my lumber mills, and did a great job. So super fascinating game. I'm going to now, so yeah, this was sort of the path of the naval invasion, and you saw the cities crumble here and here, here. Going to see if I can pull up some screenshots and sort of walk through the critical turns. All right, so this is the naval invasion. You see the offending Bireme, and my goal when Vova was attacking was I want to put units here, 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 so that he could not make a landing force. I had these 2 forts here, and I pulled a spearman off this fort. and put it here or something like that. And I what I really should have done was force march units. I don't think I had units in range because most of my troops were still down in Rome, where they had conquered Rome and were healing up, or the 6 horsemen that I fatefully sent off to support Greece in their war against Babylon. So what ended up happening is Vova was able to force march through here because I had removed that those units in the forts and kill something and then get a route chain and basically get a landing party. This is about 2 turns after, I think, that landing party. And then I could never dislodge this army. And you'll notice there's a rank 4. Is that 4 or 5? That's super highly promoted Cataphract Archer. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Cataphract Archers, some Horse Archers, some Axemen, and I am having serious trouble at this point. And I'm like, okay, I need to push back. I'm going to let that city fall. I'm thinking I'm going to pull back, let the city fall, and then counterattack. I had a scout here. I saw this coming. The problem was that Bireme moved into position. And I messaged Vova, like, what is this Bireme doing in the sea? And then, like, I get 1 turn of warning before he attacks, essentially. I saw these troops marching out, but I did not see that Bireme. And yeah. So then he actually comes down and cancels the Acropolis. And this is a situation a few turns later. There's still that offensive Bireme. I am trying to pull forces up. Again, they're far away. It takes a lot of orders. I don't have a great road network or any road network in my towns because I'm relying on coastal movement, but that means that this is pretty rough terrain here. Hills internally, there's no great way for me to go here. And he's been doing a good job of like finding any of my units that are out of position or isolated. He killed a bunch here, for example, that were trying to rally up and just while continually hurrying production and getting more and more Cataphract Archers and sending them over the sea. You can see here I'm trying to push back a little bit. I finally pulled up some of my forces. I'm getting some damage done and trying to push back. And here I'm starting to kill some isolated Cataphract Archers and trying to push back. But he's got more forces. He's rushing out Cataphract Archers, and I'm really struggling in terms of stopping him from being able to support more fighting, going back and forth over that city. I'm feeling pretty good here, but there's going to be more Cataphract Archers come by. And notice none of my units are 6 strength. These are spears, which are 5, horsemen, which are 6. He's got some axemen. He's got a couple spearmen, and these Cataphract Archers that I simply cannot deal with. And you see me pushing back a little bit, but like it's not looking great. He keeps sending more and more troops, and eventually I just run out of troops. And that's it. Like run out of troops, and here this is the last counterattack I had of any strength. And then from there, he pulls in and just wipes this entire force. And at that point, there's no recovery for me. Just to illustrate how many units I threw at him. This is military units produced. I was number 2 by the end of the game, even though I got eliminated maybe 20 or 30 turns before here. I think I definitely outproduced Vova. But the problem is I was leading on units lost because he killed so many. And I just could not trade efficiently. So I think I threw 27 horsemen at his forces and a bunch of horse archers. I had macemen by the end. Even by the end, I was just throwing slingers and flinging them at the situation. And you see 3 Biremes that I used to finally kill the sea bridge, but it was too little, too late. It just brutal combat. Really interesting game. Really, really enjoyable. But I think my prediction bore out that like once he conquered my lands, that enabled enormous power spike, and he could easily win a 2-front war here. You can see him take out Babylon from the north and take out Babylon's conquest of the Greek cities from the south. He's rocking over 100 orders and able to fight a true 2-front war. And I think Babylon at this point is at somewhere around 37 orders against 94. So 119 even here against 34. So that's really rough and not something you can really come back from. So super enjoyable FFA. That is a recap of it. And now we're going to go to an interview with me and Vova talking about sort of the FFA, some of the things we learned from the FFA, his somewhat unique strategy, I think, in terms of trying to go for 4 laws quickly, going for freedom instead of slavery, and going for horsemen and sort of ignoring machinery, ignoring ranges, ignoring lumber mills, ignoring Odeons. The very, very insightful interview. I definitely learned a lot and have some strategies that I want to try. So I hope you'll stick around and give that a listen as well.
Yeah,
so hello.
sure. Hello.
Yeah, I think we're good to go. Yeah. Hey, Vova, super excited to be talking about this recent FFA that we just played. If you wanted to sort of give your perspective on the game and how it went and how you came to victory.
So I would say the first rulers were not really into tech. I've managed to grab mm, chariots and had quick war with Babylon, and definitely Babylon had an upper hand, but in the end he told me he had problems with those uh,
Tribes.
vandals. But at that point I felt like it was a mercy on him that he allowed me to have this town. I
Yeah,
was because I had I've built the road, this one, before I built the town, so I can move troops quickly here. But definitely, still, I was spending much more orders to move them here than from the Babylon, which is just over there.
super close. Yeah.
And that's one scene that I really value, that chariots or in general mounted units are much less orders costly
Yeah.
because uh, like we are talking about this after we've heard that conversation between Soren Johnson and Filthy Robot, and he stated there that the main like tech branch is the bottom one, and I never went there really
Hmm.
because for me, uh, barding is like the essential goal in the end, or whatever mounted unit you get is just more efficient
Yeah.
compared to the anything not mounted, just because you can bring them quickly to the place you need them.
Yeah.
It's
Mount.
actually
Yeah, they're so order efficient that they just move more quickly. And then I think route also helps a lot in that you can get multiple attacks from them as well.
yeah, and so that kind of compensates the FFA problem that Filthy Robot stated, that you cannot reliably defend against more than one opponent. And in case you actually build a lot of mounted troops, you have at least a chance because uh, you can bring them from one player front to another player
Yeah.
front. And that's why I'm all the time incentivized to go this route, even if I'm playing something like Rome or Greece.
Yeah.
And definitely, if you're playing Persia, it's even more relevant because it's actually one of the scenes. Like, if you start as a Persia and you don't have access to horses in the capital or next town you build, you kind of screwed.
Yeah. You're in deep trouble.
Yeah. Uh, that's
So.
one thing that bothers me, like the distribution of these resources. In case you start the game with predefined civilizations,
Mhm.
like it was here, so we got a role on civilization and you start as a particular one. I guess that's how it started.
Yeah, I think it was
Uh,
just random for this FFA. I definitely want to try exploring some FFAs with pick later and allowing duplicate nations so that if everyone wants to go Persia or Rome, they can. Um,
yeah.
one question I definitely want to ask you is: so you won this game and you didn't pick up Portcullis, you didn't pick up cartography. I don't even think you have machinery or composite bow. Yeah, you don't have any of the techs that we thought in the meta are critical, and yet you dominate the game. And how did you, I guess, find enough tech research to get almost to barding and to get to 7 laws for the unique unit? Tell me about your tech strategy. Where did your tech come from?
So in this case, that actually evolves into the laws scene. So this game I've made freedom like from the very beginning,
Oh, really? Wow.
and I got it like pretty like around turn 35 after we had war with Babylon,
Mm-hmm.
and I've lost like 7 units or something. At that point, I wasn't constrained by orders.
Yeah.
So I also had judge leader, I guess. Let's see. Uh,
I think we had
yeah.
random leaders on this game as well. So
Yeah, so my second one was judge, and because of that, I've been popping her as a governor in different towns, and everywhere I was hiring the uh, officers,
yep,
and each like whatever um, urban specialists I can get, because each one gives you 2 science.
yep,
Definitely that gets mitigated by the discontent level, but still, freedom helps. And it's actually would be nice to have like overview how much is coming from freedom itself.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with that
But
many, it's what, one per urban specialist, right? And if you go to
yeah,
the stat screen, how many specialists do you have?
so uh, specialist is
If you hover
actually
over the 84, maybe it'll show you the breakdown.
yeah.
So let's see here. We've
Okay.
got, so looks like 20, around 36. So we've got about 40 specialists that are non-urban. So you've got 44 urban specialists. So you're getting 44 extra science just from freedom.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I mean, that's like
25% of
it,
your science is just from freedom.
yeah. And that's basically also some of them are from Assyrian towns.
Yes,
And
my
definitely,
conquered empire.
yeah,
You conquered all my specialists,
definitely the
and I
free
had a lot of,
guys.
yeah, I had a lot of officers. So
Yeah. I mean, I really appreciate the development of your towns.
yeah,
I
happy to help.
still, yeah, the Izala one is still the top
Yeah,
research income for me. And I wonder if so freedom, I would say law that incentivize you to conquer towns, because
hmm
then you don't get penalized by the discontent.
right. So as soon as you take over an enemy's town, you get all their specialists, and the discontent starts at 0, which means
Yeah,
there's no science reduction for city science. So your opponent's cities, as soon as they become yours, are the best source of city science.
true. And there is no scaling for slavery.
Yeah,
It's actually like bad
yeah,
scaling because you
yeah,
get
it's
it.
just it's just early game. Can you go into Zala? I'm actually curious to see the science breakdown there. If you want to just hover over the science breakdown up there, yep. All right, so freedom's giving you 3 from the 3 specialists. And discontent, it's only discontent level 1, and then minus 30% from assimilation, which I guess slowly goes away during the course. Like it's just takes turns, right? It's going to take 30 more turns before that goes away. Is that right? I think that's how assimilation works.
Yeah. I also would suggest something for assimilation, like maybe when you hit next culture level, assimilation can go down by some
Yeah,
percentage,
that's a great
because that
suggestion.
would make sense, and it's like role playing stuff. Like those people are embracing new culture.
Yeah, because right now there's nothing you can do. You just kind of sit there for 30, 40 turns and be very sad that you have your yields reduced. Does that simulation also hits, I think, training as well? Is that right? And
Simulation
civics?
hits,
If
yeah,
if you just look at,
training
yeah,
also.
yep. And then I think civics as well. So everything is basically impacted by simulation. So that is the downside of conquering cities, because they do go to families and they do generate discontent, but they're not as effective as cities you built yourself for a long time because of the simulation. I'm not sure what controls how many years of simulation you get.
So I guess the assimilation level depends on the culture the previous player had.
Mm.
So
Okay, higher culture, more simulation time. Makes sense.
yeah, I guess you start from 10 with like completely undeveloped culture with weak culture. But if you grab this one is a strong and it was from 35, I guess.
Yeah. So you mentioned you're a fan of schemers over scholars. Could you eliminate or elaborate a little bit more about that?
So in other game, let me see, have I spent something on? No, this game I haven't had
No schemers in this game.
scholars as the leader, but in other game I've spent like, oh, okay, I had a schemer.
Hmm.
That's interesting. Okay, she was robust, and that gives you,
Orders per city as a leader. Yeah, it's amazing.
yeah. So I was flowing in orders at that time. Let me see the
Orders
or
graph.
orders. Yeah,
Yeah, you went to the stratosphere here with Persia. It just took off.
true. Yeah, I hope. I think that this is where you got monotheism.
Monotheism. Yep.
Monotheism is also really, really
Yeah, I think
helpful.
had you waited like 10 or 20 turns, I don't know that you could have defeated me, because I would have had Barding and I would have had Cataphracts and just would have been able to hold and counterattack. So you hit it exactly the right moment.
I mean, PS who played Babylonia
Yeah.
gave me some
Intel.
very viable info.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's FFAs, right? Like that's half the fun of an FFA, right? Like you have all this amazing human diplomacy that you can't do. Uh, so
Yeah,
you so you don't have a spy master. Can you maybe speak about sort of the early text that you're looking for? If you just want to open up the tech tree and talk about like what are you thinking early game?
sure. So here I value like stone cutting because you need barracks. And this game, I believe I got barracks from the or military drill.
From the
I
event.
got from ancient ruins.
Yep, the Bodica military
And
drill event. It's always a hard choice.
yeah, there is a screen that shows how many ruins you've explored in
Yep,
this
7 for
game.
you.
Yeah, I was the biggest ruins explorer because I had
2 scouts.
additional scout
Yeah,
from the capital.
riders. Yep. Yeah, the double
Uh,
scout start on riders. I love it so much for the extra scouts. It snowballs nicely.
yeah, and also because of the scout, I got myself uh, from one of those ruins something like 200 or 300 stone, and that allowed me to build
Pyramids, right?
pyramids.
Yeah, that's so huge.
And
I don't know about you, but I think pyramids are by far the strongest wonder in the game right now.
yeah, especially because um, laws are changeable,
Yep.
and I had centralization at the very beginning just because I had judge leader and
Hmm.
I heavily hired a lot of specialists in the capital.
Capital.
Actually, it's not a lot, it's just the military ones.
Yeah, the officers are good. And do you find it worth going to elder officer as opposed to getting ranges and just going like for apprentice officers?
The problem is I don't have ranges this
No, I
game.
know you don't have composite bow. I don't think you have any ranged unit apart from your unique unit, and I guess slingers, which maybe you didn't build.
Yeah, only
Sling,
slingers. That's actually also helpful because uh, in case I'm getting rebel units, there is a
they
huge
suck. Yeah,
chance I will get slingers and will instantly kill them.
yeah. The last thing you want to do is just unlock your highest tech and get a rebel unit of that highest tech, and then you're like, oh, I have a
Yeah.
cataphract now. I'm very sad. So yeah, so stone cutting is a super early priority, and military drill. Completely agree. Barracks are incredibly important in this game. The sooner you get barracks, the better off you are. Labor force, as you know from the test patch, is changing with serfdom getting its orders, but you went freedom anyway, so you'll still be going freedom with this strategy with labor force. So do you prioritize labor force after stone cutting and mill drill, or?
That depends heavily on the map layout. I will
Mm-hmm.
say this game, uh, I wasn't really that incentivized to build roads because I
Inland
can
Sea,
go around
yeah,
on the
coast.
coast, yeah. But without roads, like basically roads are paying off really fast because
Yes.
even workers get benefits from that because you move them around.
Yeah.
Actually, what's your rule of thumbs about building workers? My one is when I build a town, the first thing I build there is a worker for like five first towns for sure. And then um, I'm not really building workers. Let me see how many I've
You only had
built.
12.
Actually, that's quite a lot, as you can see.
Yeah. Well,
Let's
I think
see
you had
how
to get some
many.
down to my towns, right? So,
Yeah, but I wonder how Rome was able to go with only four.
well,
That
I think
looks
Rome got triple teamed by Greece, Carthage, and me pretty early, I want to say. So maybe they hadn't quite economically developed. But yeah, my rule of thumb is two workers in each family seat and then one in every other city as the first build.
uh-huh. So uh, two per family seats and then
Yep.
one. But then, uh, do you feel that like I feel that around turn 40, you basically will be locked in a war. In
Yeah. So
case
you
you are
can't
not,
use those workers. Yeah.
in case you are not, then probably someone is fighting and winning the war, and soon you'll face him with like twice as many production, and you will be crushed. So
Yeah.
you
I mean, I think
kind of
my
incentivized to find opponents around turn 40.
that's true. This game does definitely reward aggression. I think my natural sort of style of play is to try to get an economic edge, but I think you're right that the correct way to play actually is forget about the economic edge, just go kill someone and take their land, because that gives you a much bigger economic edge much faster. For example, I invested pretty heavily in my cities, and then you come and took them, and you got all the benefit that I invested in, right? Like Assur is a pretty amazing, Azala, a great city as well. So you got all the benefits with just none of the work, right? In that sense, and assimilation is minus 30%, but that's still a lot better than nothing. Yeah, so I probably do overbuild workers. I'm still trying to figure out that balance. Logically, I think that like if I have more workers and I'm left alone, then that gives me an economic edge and a tech edge, and it just kind of snowballs. But maybe it is worth attacking early, and just being more aggressive. You definitely have impressed me in the many games we played over cloud games with how well you time your attacks, and just your aggression in terms of just attacking at the right time with the right amount of force to win.
Usually it uh, evolves into something like, okay, I see that like in 7 turns I will get stirrups, and I'm starting to hoard civics or whatever I can use for hurrying.
Yeah, let's
Uh,
let's talk about hurry production. I know you mentioned in our discussion before the game that you believe hurrying production is super essential to the multiplayer scene, and it's something that hasn't gotten a lot of attention. Can you speak a little more about hurrying production?
yeah. So usually there are a couple ways to get hurrying stuff. The obvious ones are volunteers, which is really, really overperformed in some games for me.
Yeah, the
Also,
down a tough tech path. So
yeah, it's the manner scene. So only if you go in for longbows. So usually you go with longbows if you play Assyria
yeah.
or Babylon, I guess. Um, but apart from that, mostly you are spending civics for harrying, or you spending money with a judge, governor, because in combination with freedom, you get tech snowball. And when you can't rely on your heavily wisdom leader,
Hmm.
you have to rely on the science from urban specialists. And they are really long to produce.
Yes, hard building them takes forever.
And so this game, I had no marble. Marble is really crucial to produce specialists.
Hmm.
And I never produced specialists like for those amount of turns that they like 8 or 6. It's still too much.
Yeah, the opportunity cost is too high. You could be building a unit.
True. And also, actually, about building units, you basically have this orders balance. And I feel that if you have around 40 orders per turn, you cannot use more than 15 units effectively.
Hmm. So you want to find the strongest 15 units you can.
Yeah. And even more, uh, why I'm a bit incentivized to do elder specialists, because now you have a free promotion. I mean, you don't end the turn with that unit if you promote it, if you have like
Yeah,
fully
that's true.
XP
50
bar.
XP. Yeah, from two specialists. So now that's a great point that you do get that free, and especially if you are Persia, I think you can get the shrine that gives you one ranged level as well, which
Yeah,
can.
here I have it. So those guys will start with 100 XP and one additional level because of this
Yeah.
uh, shrine Mitra.
Yeah, that's
And
super powerful.
yeah, also, so how you time the attack, you basically hoard whatever you can use to harry the units and time it out that way that next turn after you researched, you get like 4 or 5 uh, best tech units you can, and that's how I've attacked you.
Yes,
Uh,
I noticed.
yeah, I basically put here all the stuff, and then I still had not enough training to upgrade all of mine chariots,
Yeah.
but they were like a second echelon after the cataphract archers.
Hmm.
I mean, I've lost all my cataphracts archers that has been upgraded from Peltoons
Yep.
because you've killed a lot of mine cataphract archers. But that exchange was definitely in my favor. This
Yeah.
game, I was kind of cheating because I've started building
Yeah, the
the
Citadel's at 6 laws. No, and that's changed now to be 7 laws. Trust
yeah
me, I noticed. And I'm like, no. And I got screwed by the Barding change. So I was like, oh, I have Barding next turn, and then the patch dropped, and then Barding had a new prerequisite for battle line, and I had to go get that, and then I had to So I mean, it's long FFAs. That's half the fun. Things change under your feet. Talk a little bit about upgrading units. You find it super valuable to get a burst of power essentially and just save up resources and upgrade and attack when that tech window and timing window opens.
Yeah, and that's because, like, when I've attacked you, most of my Cataphract archers were around level 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And basically, I feel that stack in combat is just the best because it's unconditional. Also, the way it works with orders, it's much better to use your level 4 troop compared to like two units without promotion.
Hmm.
Um, and that's how you get the edge. So you kind of make best units you can and put all the training you can in them, because then you get in return of investment in terms of orders.
Yeah. Yeah, if it, I mean, I think I was trading really ineffectively. I was trying to pull everything I could to try to stop you, but I was having 6 or 7 units attack to kill one of your cataphract archers, which is not anywhere near efficient enough because then you would just kill a bunch of my units very efficiently with your cataphract archers. So even though I think I was ahead in training and in orders at the time, I was behind because I just did not have anything 8 strength to attack your cataphract archers with. I do wonder whether I should have built the Assyrian unique unit and tried to go for that. But I feel like I didn't have roads in my areas, so I would have they would have just not been able to move because of the hills. I don't know.
And also they lack against cavalry. So
Yeah, they're not great because your horsemen would just eat them alive. Um,
yeah,
so yeah, I mean, do you find the Assyrian unique unit very valuable, or do you just not build it
not really, but now they dropped. I mean, the next patch
with
will
forts? Yeah,
introduce, yeah, against forts. And still, I've never built forts. That's actually because I find that defending in this game is like you basically have to be ready to lose your border towns to preserve the army
yeah.
and try to. So when enemy will capture your first town and they will go for the second, their kind of supply lines goes more. So supply lines is the orders they spent to move
Hmm.
new units. And at that point, you can heavily counterattack them. I've played against Nestor, and he actually defeated me that way. So I took his town on the border, and then I get no. It was coastal scene, and because it wasn't my coast at that point, I was moving kind of slow.
Hmm.
And when he was fighting inside the territory next to his coast, he was just moving so
Yeah.
fast that he killed my stuff.
Yeah, no, I severely regret taking my units out of forts that would have blocked. I think I made a critical error at one point in the game moving a spearman out of a fort.
Yeah,
Um,
those forts were here, and I remember that there were.
yeah, there were forts all along. I was trying to wall off all the chokes, but then I moved off the forts and let you in, and then I could never get you out again.
Yeah,
You did a good job, I think, of prioritizing killing my troops. So one thing I was trying to do was try to get critical mass again and then attack, but you just had your cataphract archers roam and you didn't get distracted by my cities. You were like, I'm going to go find all your troops and kill all your troops, and then I will start taking your cities.
lucky because somewhere here
Yep,
was your wonder.
Acropolis. Yep, you can see the road.
Yeah, and somewhere here was my scout,
Mm,
and I'm not sure if you see what's on the Wonder in case you have a fog there. I guess not, but because I've seen the Wonder is being built there, I decided to check with a scout what's there, and there were like five or six of your horsemen, and that was an opportunity for me to get an edge.
Yeah, no,
So
I was trying to move them all up together and then bring my west forces, my east forces up the coast and like attack and have enough to, because when you're defending, you really are just counterattacking. And I wanted to eliminate as many troops as I could to get an edge and then just push you back. I didn't have navigation, so I couldn't go kill your Bireme and had no way to stop the water bridge. Because I just did not have that tech. It just did not roll for me, or I didn't prioritize it. So
I I definitely had it because I like serfdom.
well, it's
With
going away
Persia,
now.
you have to like serfdom.
It's going away now. There's no more farms pastures plus 20%. So it's gone.
Yeah, but
5 orders
never
is a
would
fine
go
replacement.
for navigation if it's not for the serfdom. I mean, you definitely need laws for your unique units, but now
Mm-hmm.
I feel that seven for your second unique, um,
That's pretty tough
it's,
to get to.
yeah. So it's easier to get something like cohorts by that time,
Yeah,
and then your unique units gets outclassed. Maybe in case you're Persia or Babylon, you can still rely on them heavily because they
they're
are
so strong. Yeah.
good at math. Yeah, but also I feel that when you have units that can route, I mean, I wasn't doing like this routing stuff the most efficient way just because all your units have route and some of them won't get killed on the attack because you have to at first
Yep.
deplete the health of the unit they're attacking. So maybe you can mix them with something else, but
Mm-hmm.
then you probably want to go with your best unit option, and it's not gonna be like bowmen and horsemen at the same time. It's gonna
No.
be one of those.
Yeah, you have to pick one. You can't. It's always better to go down one trek tree than try to go down two at once. Because let's go back to text maybe. And so we chatted a little about. You said you like stone cutting, and then martial code, and then I guess you probably go for labor force and just sort of fill things in. Do you just try to get those 4 laws early? Is it the labor force and the sovereignty? Those or
I try to go to get stirrups,
stirrups?
so
Okay.
I'm mostly incentivized to go this way. Also because I like legal court and courthouses
Yeah, for civics
because
protection.
that way you can hoard your uh, civics, and by the time you get stirrups, you can harry those horsemen at mass.
Yep, and have a nice little power boost. So what are I guess your first 4 laws then would be legal code, labor force, and then do you grab any others? I guess navigation maybe potentially as well since it's up there as well.
Yeah, navigation was to grab like force law for the stronghold. So with the because this game I don't get any word religion, and at that point when you don't have word religion, you go with pagan ones,
Yep.
and some shrines are really great.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so for example, I never got lumber mills, but plus 24 mines with miners on them is also really
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
And
So I guess your 4 laws that you're looking at are, I guess, slavery or freedom from labor force, serfdom from navigation, um, legal code from citizenship, and then I guess aristocracy. You probably go for vassalage or centralization there? And I guess you kind of
at
can avoid.
first I went for
Yeah, yeah.
centralization, but then I switched to vassalage. because I'm still kinda struggling with money.
Yeah, minus 944. I can't quite read it, but some hilariously large amount.
Yeah, that's because of shitload of towns
Yeah,
that are really far from the capital.
yeah.
But also, it would be even worse in case I wouldn't invest into specialists because
Yeah, maintenance costs are higher.
yeah,
And
and
did you
when
get
you
the Apadana? Do you find that a powerful wonder? I don't remember whether you got it this game.
Epidana,
It wasn't in the game. Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I went for Necropolis. Necropolis is crap, like
Yeah.
definitely. I went for it because it was the one that is haven't been built, and I got an ambition. One of those were to build Necropolis,
Yeah.
but even here with like five specialists, it's not that much, but plus 10 culture is basically nothing.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like after you get strong, you don't really need to care about culture in your cities. Legendary is, I mean, by the time you get any city to legendary, the game is over, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Strong
actually,
is
what
super
what
important.
is
So
matter that if you get in first developed town, you can get an edge because you
yeah,
can hire some urban specialists to get uh, some science boost.
yeah. So let's chat a little bit about onagers and machinery. I guess you don't even bother getting
Uh,
it.
yeah, so
Tell me
I
more.
feel that I mean I've seen some filthy games, fluffy games, and I see that they use onagers. You also
Yeah, onagers and forts. That's the mid game.
yeah, but horsemen's eat them,
Yeah,
and that's why I completely neglect the bottom one.
yeah. So
Also, I don't get like hydraulics with this meal gives you +2 science is quite nice, but isn't it kind of the same as monastery? But monastery is cheaper.
yeah. Well, there's also a
So
big production bonus from the mills as well. So it does give 100% to everything around it, which is really nice.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
They are good,
Uh,
but they come so late that I feel like they're very much a win more. Um, in that, like if you have the luxury of being able to build mills, then it'll give you a good edge. But I like your point that basically your tech strategy, if I can say it back to you and see if I'm getting it, is basically stirrups is the key thing to go for because
yeah.
it allows you to shut down onagers because horse units have that insane bonus against siege units, which means even if your opponent does do onagers and forts, you can just flood with horse units and then kill all the onagers, and then your opponent has invested a lot in onagers, and what are they going to do?
And
Um,
also, this game, for example, those two were occupied by Indians,
yeah,
and um, that's why I have this
boat.
BRM here. But with horsemen's, you basically can at least try to move around the choke point. So
Yep.
if opponent made huge forts with onagers, fine. Probably, even if it's one coast, you still can park one or two BRMs there
Yeah.
and completely go bypass that heavily fortified position.
Yeah.
And
So
onagers will have to move and then unlimber.
yeah, they are very slow.
Yeah.
And yeah, that unlimber term like means they can't attack. So yeah, I think that's the right idea. Basically, you're role playing the Mongols and saying, ah, I see your fortified city. I'm going to go around it and attack the undefended farmlands behind. What are you going to do? Are you going to take your onagers back and like attack me? Am I going to fight half your force at once? Because I'm happy to kill half your army at a time. That's great. So,
True. And
let's talk a little about.
maybe it
Go
will
ahead.
work with a lot of spearmen
I
because
think it depends on the map as well. Like this map was very, very open. If you watch my game with Filthy, the one that is on his channel, we had a very, very narrow choke point. And honors were very effective there because they could be behind 2 or 3 lines of units and it was impossible to get to them. I think it really depends on the map. Anything with water where you like this, for example, this game, even if I had onagers in every city, I don't think it would have helped me. And any onager outside the city would be a dead onager very soon. So, and I don't think I built enough melee units as well. I think I needed more spears than I had, especially with Persia as a neighbor. Um, I don't know how effective spears would have been. Like your cataphract archers ate the spears I produced alive, and spears take wood, and wood is so hard to get. I notice you also don't get forestry. Do you just chop everything, or tell me more
Yeah.
about?
So you see, there are some still chopped one,
Yeah,
but I've chopped them like 30 turns ago, but like 40, 50 turns ago, everything has been chopped. And that's basically how I get money to
rush.
uh, to rush my specialists with judge. So
And you
because
don't.
I in case I can rush, I will try to rush.
Yeah,
And uh, resource is constraining you definitely because money, um, at some point forest wood became precious and price skyrockets.
yeah,
And at that point I'm chopping everything to convert that into cash to build to actually hurry specialists.
makes sense. But do you just find lumber mills not worth it?
uh, in my Syrian games I find it's like worth it.
Because you're trying to get longbows, and you need right. I guess if you're building anything that requires wood and has wood upkeep, you can't support that just with chopping. So
Yeah, because you will soon find yourself in a war, and
yeah,
chopping is something
impossible
that,
in a war.
yeah, you need much more orders.
So do you build a lot of
And
chariots and then upgrade into horsemen, or do you just try to get to stirrups and then get horsemen because horsemen do not take wood, where chariots do take wood?
in this game, because I had really like around turn 20 or
Early
25
war, yeah,
war with Babylon, I've built some chariots actually. I can see how many. Because it's here. It's produced. Military units produced.
so
Yeah,
15
so I've
chariots, yeah,
built 15 chariots and horsemen. I'm building like half of them. I've built like
from chariots, yeah,
3 turns before this one because
yeah.
I'm waiting for Bardin.
Got
And
it. You want to upgrade?
yeah,
Yeah,
the same goes with. So, for example, right now I had Zealot leader, and
the state
I
religion.
basically
Yep,
hurried bunch of cataphract archers. Each turn I'm getting 2. I mean,
yep,
it was before the king changed, but
yeah,
I found Zealot leader very effective.
yeah.
And not because of that +1 fatigue, but because you can
Hurry with training,
hurry. Yeah.
and generally you're going to have a ton of training. So,
So
um,
training is actually one of the resources. It feels like easy to hoard.
yeah. Talk to me about council. I noticed a bunch of your cities were running council towards the end of the game. Is that something you were doing deliberately, or was it just because you were just losing so much money, or do you find council valuable because it gives more civics and training?
So I value, like, some towns are for producing units, some for science, and some for supporting those that produce science or units. So usually you constrained by orders, and you won't be able to produce units in every town, because even when you had war, it's much more efficient to hurry 2 towns that will produce your highest tier unit you get,
Mhm.
and others just pumping money and civics and training, and that's council. I feel that, like, in case I'm doing my turn and there are like 10 orders left and all my workers are already moved and I'm not fighting, then I will think about producing worker,
Got it.
because workers can be upgraded to militia.
Militia.
And this game, it's not relevant, but in game, when you play Assyria or Babylon, or
Where you
if
have
you get
manor and
manor,
conscripts. Yeah.
yeah, conscripts are really good because they are polyarm and they anti-mounted. I haven't seen that they have cleave. Nice.
Yeah.
But
Still 5
I have
strength
a
though.
game
So.
where I play Assyria now,
Mhm.
and my army is composed of longbowmen and conscripts, and that's actually nice seeing that there are some towns, especially if you have hunters, that produce shitload of growth.
Yeah. Let's talk
Yes.
about growth. You mentioned you want to chat about growth.
Yeah,
What's your
yeah.
philosophy on growth?
So uh, I feel that in case you're playing on a map that has inland sea or ocean, there will be a lot of fish.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just random, but that's my feeling for now. And because your growth is basically, it can actually punish you, because when you're overgrown and you don't get, you paying for those guys giving you just 0.1 order, which is non-efficient. So you're not producing workers because you
Mhm.
don't have enough orders to move them and build each uh, turn.
Anything.
And
Yeah.
actually, I don't get, like, usually game goes around, like, until turn 80, it's kind of decided in terms
Yeah.
of you already get an advantage or you already lost,
Yep.
but it's not obvious right now. And there is no much sense to build anything with workers except for citadels or pastures, because
Mhm.
orders is valuable. But apart from that, return of investment just won't happen. So uh, you kind of play in a way that, around turn 60, most of your improvements are there, or you won't get return of investment for your
Yep.
improvements. And at that point, what are you gonna do with that growth? And one thing is disciples, and disciples are great because that is how you get plus 10 uh, strength bonus because of happy family.
Yeah.
You convert them to religion and you maintain high relationship with the religious head.
So are you actually sending disciples around and like clicking the convert button on disciples to change a city, or do you rely entirely on natural spread? Or
Usually, I'm not. I entirely rely on disciples because I have this one town that produced a lot of disciples for me. I
yeah,
actually want to see. Is there something like how
I
many
don't think there's a way
disciples
to
you
track the
produce?
disciples produced. Unfortunately, we should send feedback and say we want to see disciples produced because they're not in workers and they technically should be in workers, right? So,
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
growth is essential because you can get volunteers.
Mm.
And with volunteers, you can hurry whatever you want. That's actually something that is really strange, that you're constrained by, like, if you have judge, you can
Yeah.
produce more specialists. Or if you have holy war, you can hurry your military units. But with um, volunteers, you can hurry whatever you want.
As long as you have citizens, which requires high
Yeah.
growth. So let's chat about briefly Holy War. I notice you didn't pick it as a law, even though you have it eligible.
I've done that because of intel it gives. If you pick the holy war, then
Ah,
everyone knows soon you'll get barding.
I see. That was my mistake, right? I picked it, and then you're like,
Yeah.
ding, 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 barding nearby, time to attack.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's a heavy signal that this player should be pinned down, and you probably have to make diplomacy in case you are not sure you will be able to do that yourself.
Makes sense. Yep.
Because
Uh,
you can point someone, look, he has an active law called Holy War.
yeah, barding cataphracts are coming, and we all know cataphracts are terrifying units to behold. So, um,
I hoped to get Holy War in case I will research Bardin, particularly this game. So it's already there, so everyone
yep.
sees the cataphracts already.
Yeah, so no. Once the cataphracts are revealed, who cares about revealing that you're going to get cataphracts?
Yeah.
Do you build Odeons at all and theaters, or do you just have a couple hamlets? I feel like you don't prioritize polis pretty much.
I really like the music in this game, but I'm never researching drama.
Tell me more. So
Yeah, so drama is essential for Portugalus. Maybe I'm missing something here in terms of spy masters. It's actually something I will ask you.
yeah,
But for me, audience is culture, and you get culture to develop in by nicely placed tribal camps that gives you culture from epics.
I see.
And in case you already have developing culture, in case I'm playing anything apart from Persia or uh, Babylon, I guess, and I don't care about unique units, I'm fine with developing culture everywhere. I don't need strong. I need only developing. And to get
And that's to
developing is
rush,
not
right?
that hard. Yeah, just to rush.
So let me just
So
let me just chime in there. So Persia and Babylon are the only two that you care about their unique unit. Everyone else, you think their unique unit is crap? Is that what you're saying?
I would say Hattusas and Egypt one. I haven't played Hattusa, but I feel that the Hatti is heavy chariot is also strong.
Yeah.
And Egypt one is also nice.
Yeah, I have
Uh,
visions of your Kushite cavalry.
yeah. So basically, everyone that has cavalry and the Babylon, because when you actually, when I haven't played Babylon for a long time, but I feel that you kind of try to not go the route that forces you to chop even more trees.
Yeah,
So you use your trees for producing unique units, and you use iron and stuff to build your horsemen and axemen. And you kind of try to spread your units, and with Babylon you have that option, because in my case I have option to go cavalry and that's it.
yeah.
But yeah, basically Most of the time, I don't care about unique units because you can get horsemen's.
Fair enough. Yeah, so just on portcullis, I think from my perspective, a well-placed spymaster that is friendly can give you insane amounts of science. I think this will be a little tuned down with competitive mode, reducing character yields by half and giving compensation for that. But right now, you can easily get 100 science off a spymaster that's been properly raised with the scholar leader and has, yeah, so it can be pretty insane. I've seen like plus 115 from a spymaster, which is a lot, especially early game. I think I have a game where I was Assyria and it was around turn 50 and I got 120 science from my spymaster on turn 50, which is just enormous.
Yeah. Have you used it to get discontent bonus or orders bonus?
The order bonus is insignificant. The discontent bonus is pretty insignificant as well. The big one is wisdom increases science, as well as agent networks, which are really nice for seeing inside. But I guess you're using your gold to hurry specialists out, and then you don't need to worry about seeing inside because your troops will come and see inside for you. So that's, yeah. But I like agent networks, and you can do some really really annoying things with some of the agent missions. If an opponent, I didn't have the gold to do it to you, but I was trying to. You can essentially, I forget what it's called. I think it's called treachery, or I don't remember what the agent mission is called. But you can do that on remember, a city that's damaged can't rush, right? So if I do the agent mission that takes off 10 hit points from your city and you're relying on rushing out of that city, you can no longer until you heal up the city, which will take 3 turns. By the time you do that, I can do another agent mission because it's also 3 turns. So I can prevent you from rushing out of certain cities with agent missions. I really should have prioritized that. I did not realize how much you relied on rushing, but Spymaster enables all that.
Actually, one thing about military rushing. So when you rush, let's say you have this plus 38 training,
Mm-hmm.
and so usually what I do, I have one cataphract archer harried, and at the same time I have another in the queue. I mean, you don't have to, but when you will order the next one, those turns that you've hurried, training you haven't spent will
Yeah,
be put into that one. So it's kind of, let's say you build cataphract archer in 4 turns. So 3 turns you rush, 4 turn you get your free cataphract archer without hurrying.
I see.
And
Yeah, because
this way
you
you
want
kind of,
you want the overflow to go into the next unit, not into the global pool. And if you don't have another unit queued, it'll go into the global pool. But if you do, it'll go into the unit. That's a great point.
I'm not sure if they will go straight in the pool, because I feel that they will kind of float until you will order the next one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I have to check. I think the way it's designed is if you do queue up one, you get this is easy enough to test. You just rush one and then see whether the next one you start after you rushed one has the 38 training or whatever from the previous one or not. So we should definitely test that and make sure that works.
Yeah, but
Cool.
basically I'm doing the queuing just in case.
Yeah. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about? This is super informative and interesting, and we're just at the hour mark here.
Uh, so in terms of uh, attacking and defending, there
Mm-hmm.
was a nice conversation when Soren asked Filsi, what do you think, is the order system incentivized to attack or to defend? And I'm still not sure, because no retaliation means you're incentivized to attack.
Yeah.
But usually, like when you have your units, so this was your empire and you had your units spread around. When I'm coming at one point, you have that turn to bring your troops somewhere
Yep.
close, and that means you will probably lose first town, but that also means that you might be, depending on the, if your empire is big enough,
Yeah.
you will be able to counterattack even
Yeah.
without that town.
Yeah. It was a super close game. I think our battle. Yeah, it was very close. I think I almost held, but I think your ability to hurry out a cataphract archer every turn in two cities um, was too much for me to stop, because I did kill all your cataphract archers and was feeling pretty good, but then suddenly you had more cataphract archers. And I was like, wait, what? How are you? Where did they? So yeah, I definitely should have invested money into agent missions to disrupt rushing in those two cities. That, especially since I knew they had citadels at 6 laws, which was the enormous problem for me. Um, so yeah. Um, Couple other things I wanted to chat about: archetypes. Are there specific archetypes you look for, and how do you tutor your kids? Do you always try to do the air as politics, or do you go for something else?
So I'm going to tutor. I'm trying to tutor the second hair and like the next generation. But when you are around turn 60, you kind of, I feel that you can neglect your hair, because at that point you either winning
Yeah.
and you're spending your orders on that and all your money. So I see that some people in this game have much more wealth compared to me. There should be something like wealth. Yeah. So uh, all my resources, I'm trying to use them or hoard them for specific tech unlocked.
Hmm.
And basically, you want to use your resources, right?
Yeah, it's similar to any RTS or StarCraft, right? Like if you're floating a huge amount of resources, then something's gone wrong because you're not using what you're building. And why are you harvesting so much?
Yeah.
You should be selling them down or something and buying something more useful with them, especially since you can trade freely on the market.
Yeah.
Um,
And that comes down to the, so talking about the archetypes,
mhm.
uh, I haven't I had really great success with Zealot. We already discussed that. Uh, Tactician is nice when you have a lot of mm, ranged units, because intel is crucial, and when your opponent don't see how many units you have,
Yeah, they
you
can
can
make
trick
mistakes.
him into taking somewhere where you had a lot more than he expected. Also, uh, scholar, definitely, because of the science and because of you can really over tutor your next heir. But scholar is the best first, or I would say first scholar is really nice, because you can miss on quarters. Like, there is a chance you won't get them. This game, I had no quarters
Yeah,
until some point, and that's why I decided, okay, maybe I have to go freedom, because I don't have a reliable source of wisdom.
yeah. So you like
And
scholar, zealot, tactician?
also I like orator, because you can, it depends actually on ambition. In case you can get plus 80, and it can be really easy in case it's like 4 generals or 5 promotions or something. And usually it goes from the military
Family.
family,
Yep.
and you have a lot of those towns, and each one will give you plus 2 orders. And this is huge. You can
Yeah,
get like plus 10 orders.
a robust orator is just, you're going to be swimming in so many orders.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
that's
Cool. So I guess you probably tutor kids towards
wisdom. That's actually no brainer. In
philosophy.
case
Okay.
you can get wisdom, yeah, philosophy student, wisdom. Also, there is a scene like you don't want to get deal maker traits because deal maker is only plus 20, and there is only three positive positive traits you can get.
Hmm. Three what? Sorry, you cut out
And
there for a second.
what?
You cut out there for a second. Three what traits with Dealmaker?
Yeah, so you can get three good traits and three bad traits
Ah,
in total on your guy, and you don't want to spend this opportunity to get a deal maker because you can get something like Swift or
yeah.
Besieger or Highlander.
Yep.
And Swift is definitely one of the better ones.
It's amazing.
Robust,
Yeah.
also amazing, definitely. I mean, in case you have Rome, Zealot, Swift, it's just crazy. I actually don't know, like, in case you have Swift leader, or if you play in Rome, your X-Men can use three orders, but with Swift, he still can use three orders, but each one will give you more movement, right? Or
Swift gives you an extra fatigue pip, so you can move 3 times normally, but with Swift or with Zealot or with Rome, you can move 4 times, and with Swift and Zealot or Rome, you can move 5 times, and with all three, you can move 6 times.
but
It still
for
takes
each pip you
it
will pay
an
additional.
order. Yeah. It's an order per pip, but you get more pips. So no force march, basically. You don't have to force march as often. I noticed in your list of archetypes you left out hero. Is hero not something you find super strong? I mean, launch offensive seems like it's completely game breaking in the right
Yeah,
situation.
that's true. I just missed on, like, the problem is you then have to go with uh, something like you don't get it from philosophy student, and you go with philosophy student because of the science, and that's why you are missing heroes.
Yeah,
In my opinion, that's the problem.
Orator is under politics. I personally have enjoyed tutoring. My initial era is Orator to get a chance at hero, judge, Orator, or scholar or diplomat.
That's
So
interesting.
yeah, I do think it is likely between philosophy and rhetoric. Tactics has a really negative event where your heir can die, so I really avoid having anyone
Um,
go tactics because it's just bad. Having a
what
kid die is
actually is
horrible.
your opinion on when to stop building specialists or improvements and go to the council only in case there is such point in
I
the
don't
game?
know. I tend to play for a longer game, I guess. My style is more like I want to crush you with my economy, where it just becomes like it doesn't matter whether you can kill my units. There's an infinite wave of units coming at you. You attacked me right before I got to that point. So again, 10 turns later, I think you're going to have a cataphract being produced out of 10 cities every 3 or 4 turns. But I never could quite get to that point because I could not kill your cataphract archers. Um, so, and maybe not every, but yeah, I mean, my capital was at like 80 training or something insanely high. So I was at the payoff point
Oh,
right when you attacked. Yeah.
wow.
So yeah. Yeah. So
Yeah,
my
well,
philosophy was like, I'm not going to worry about hurrying. I'm going to just get really good production. But I think a combination of the two is really good, where you hurry out some specialists and then you hurry when you get some tech lead, and behind that, then you wait to get the tech and get good production behind it. I think the challenge here was, since you had your unique unit at 6 laws, and my unique unit was a complete, like, the Assyrian unique unit is not great. So I had nothing to answer that was 8 strength. And
yeah,
that was an enormous problem. And your units weren't just 8 strength; they were rank 3 or rank 4 8 strength. They're really like 9
and
or 10
plus
because yeah.
10 from happy family.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one more thing I wanted to chat about. How do you can you show maybe your family happiness? How do you manage family happiness, especially with in this game you've got a bazillion cities? How are you keeping everyone happy? Or you maybe you're not. So
For this game, I'm only Sassanid, only riders, because like before I had really great before this.
Yeah, before you
Even
conquered all my lands, yeah. Or before this
yeah,
leader? Sorry.
yeah, before this leader I had plus 200 and plus 400 with the riders one.
Mm-hmm.
And just because he was fulfilling a lot of ambitions, like capturing. At some point, you can get really chain of nice ambitions, like
Mm-hmm.
capture two foreign cities, then capture capital, and that way you basically make your riders happy, and then you don't care about other guys.
Yeah.
Uh,
Do you just
Also,
keep them happy with, I guess, family gifts from the chancellor, or can you hover over maybe your opinion modifier for the writers and let me just see what they?
so
So
right now I have really nice ambassador,
yeah.
and they switched religion actually this or the previous turn, but also because the barracks are essential,
Yep.
you can
And
amass them in each town of this family, and you get a nice bonus for that. Also, wonders, you basically don't care about building wonders in anything apart from your main military
mm,
family. Usually it's riders or champions, but basically champions are nice, but flanking is really great because when you uh, it feels a bit like win more
yeah, Saddleborn
because
flanking on flat ground is just insanely good.
yeah.
It's like, hi, I'm
uh,
doing 50% more damage to you. Good luck.
True, and you can kind of move one guy, it might be even a chariot, just to enable the flanking bonus, and
Mm-hmm.
he's just moving there, not attacking.
Yep, and then moving to
uh,
enable the next one. Yeah, no, I've definitely done that, and it's great. Okay, and then do you even bother with family gifts missions at all, or do you?
yeah, I'm doing the family gifts.
Mhm.
I haven't researched specified town.
Yeah, coinage is just there's nothing in that tech tree, so it's like
True. But I feel that it might be relevant
it is very good.
for really, really long game.
Yeah, it is very good, especially if you have a great science city producing, because you can get that science down to zero discontent and enjoy the full bonus from it. Because pacify city also reduces the actual problem of discontent, which is what's causing all that unhappiness. Okay,
Yeah. Also,
cool.
I wanted to ask, what are your opinion on buying tiles? Because I'm planning, like, usually you can have a judge and you can build um, not urban improvement, the regular one, how are they called? Like
Rural, yeah.
rural, yeah, and place their specialist, and you can hurry that guy to get your
Tile
those tiles
expansion,
you
yeah.
need.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
because buying is more like my workers are on tight schedule because I don't have many of those. They are busy doing something else. But maybe when you have more workers, you can kind of build your empire.
yeah, well, you can buy tiles with any unit. It doesn't have to be a worker. Your military units can
Oh,
buy tiles, which is nice. But I see your point in terms of buying tiles being expensive. You'd rather use that money to hurry specialists with the judge governor. Um, do you ever build specialists without a judge governor if you want a specialist or like?
for landowners definitely.
Okay,
Without landowners, and landowners only works that bonus of minus 50 production time for rural specialists,
yeah.
so won't work for urban ones. But yeah,
And how
i'm
many?
building only I'm building it without hurrying, only for landowners basically.
Got it. So everywhere else you want to use a judge, and if you don't have a judge of the family, what do you do?
I might. So sometimes you have marble or patrons that give you +2 or +1 per
Yeah,
family opinion, and it's not patrons but it's statesmen. And at that point, you can get like 4 turns officer,
and that's okay.
green turn one. That sounds fine. In case it's 6 or more, never. But 4 or 5, I will think about it. Just because at some point you don't have any more capacity for military units because there won't be enough orders.
Yeah,
You have some reserves, like
yeah,
with 40 orders, you can move 10 units and attack with them, and that's actually 40 orders. But
yeah.
then you you have like 5 to 10 more units in case you will lose those that are fighting.
Yep.
But more than that will just eat your resources.
Yeah,
It just
there's yeah.
standing there.
Um, do your workers just go idle during a war, I presume?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, because you want to be able to attack with your entire military. And then how many towns are you focused on for production? Like I see a bunch of barracks, but like you mentioned, I guess you're rushing out of maybe 2 or 3. Is that right? Or
This game, those 3 I've been doing
all you're rushing? Yeah.
constantly, like cataphracts, archers, or platoons, or horsemen, or chariots. Uh, this one was for decrees.
Yep.
Actually, I really liked that decree is rushable with civics,
Yep.
and there might be a crucial turn, and you can get the first turn for the alpha strike. You definitely want to time it out with a decree or rush the decree to have it on the turn. I mean, now when I have 100 something orders, it doesn't matter. But when you
Yeah.
have
Way earlier.
50 and you get 8, that's a lot.
Yeah. And last topic I want to touch on governors and generals. I notice you don't have many governors assigned. Is that deliberate, or do you just only use judge governors, or do you find
It just died because
okay?
at this point I'm producing only with like rush stuff,
Yeah.
and judge. I had like one good judge that I moved around because I had a judge leader.
Hmm.
But I mean, judge, you won't be able to pour your money into 3 towns. So
Yeah.
basically, you don't need usually more than 1 or 2 judges, but 1 or 2 are essential. I would say one judge is really essential.
Yeah. Court chair judges are always great because they can go anywhere.
True,
Or no, I
true.
guess they have families now, so they can't. So maybe leader judges. So one of the to goof like a hunter judge and a rider judge here would have been great for you to get those 2, 3 cities up to speed with specialists. Okay.
Yeah. There
Um,
are still some courtiers without family. Maybe
yeah.
it, it
They I don't know. I think this game is old. I think all of them now have families.
yeah.
So do you find generals useful?
Um. So I thought maybe it would be more fun and maybe a pilot guy,
Say
but
that again.
then
Sorry, you cut out there entirely.
yeah. So when I attacked you,
Hmm.
I had my leader who had like 7 courage.
Yep, your zealot leader.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah, in my capital as a governor. But at some point, I thought, okay, might be fun in case he will enlist because there is the
Oh,
10%
right.
chance.
Zealot enlist. Yeah.
But I've never done that. And in the end, I thought, okay, that's nice because like
You're really quiet now. I'm not sure what happened.
better now.
Yep.
So you're doing Alpha Strike and you put your best units up front, and some of them have general.
Yeah.
And they're gonna die. So you kind of spend those 100 civics or 100 training, and it's much better to probably to use them for retaliation force, but
Yeah, that
not
makes
for the
sense.
alpha strike.
Yeah, so that you have strong power. Okay. Anything else you want to discuss? This was super insightful and fascinating. So thanks for taking the time to chat about sort of the multiplayer metagame, this FFA.
Yeah, thank you too. I guess for now I don't have any specific topics. So
Cool.
thank you for listening. Thank you for answering.
Yeah, and curious to see how the meta will evolve over the next couple of months. And now with the Steam release, hopefully more folks are playing the game. We'll see more cloud games going, and
True.
yeah, should be
And I
fun.
feel that actually FFA is viable. It's definitely
Yeah.
viable.
Oh, it definitely is, but I think it requires more diplomacy and I think I think some of the comments, if I understood, like in Civ 5, I think it was possible for one player in a good defensive position to hold off three players that were attacking them. Whereas I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that's really viable in old world, right? If three people decided to attack, like had I been able to convince Babylon to stop attacking Greece and Carthage and start attacking you, I don't know that you would have been able to hold off me and Babylon. So
It won't be. That's for sure.
yeah. So I think in Civ 5 that was possible just because the game is a different game. Where here you wouldn't be able to. But I don't necessarily know that that is an objective for old world, that you should be able to hold off a 1v3 because that feels like it has its own design challenges as well. So
Yeah, I feel that this diplomacy essentially comes down to, can you pick right arguments and
yeah.
convince someone that that guy will win in case we
Yeah,
want
and
to
I
lose
guess my lesson for the game is don't pick Holy War until you have Cataphracts, because otherwise Vova will send a screenshot to your opponent being like, "Look, Holy War, you should attack this guy."
Yeah, for sure.
All right, awesome. Thank you, man. GG's and congrats on your win in this FFA.
Thanks a lot,
All right.
and have a good one. Bye.
Yep. Bye bye.